स्टार्ट है।
All right. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. I hope that you're doing well. So, in the last two lectures, we covered Unit 1, Unit 3, and Unit 4. We learned how we can learn language through poetry, through fiction, and we also looked at some tips for reading comprehension to understand articles and text better. How we looked at how to read a text better, right? So in today's lecture, we would be covering Unit 2, that is understanding grammar, and Unit 5, that is creating your own voice, right? So we would be starting with Unit 5, creating your own voice. It's a short unit. Um, in this unit, first if you can see the syllabus, see this is your syllabus and this is Unit 5, creating your own voice. If you can see the PDF. Uh, First, we'll look at a few grammar portions and then we will go to your suggested readings and we'll try to analyze and understand those suggested readings. So basically, through this unit, um, we are going to learn how to read a text and how to, when you're writing, uh, how to create your own voice, because even articles or texts or anything that is written has a tone, has a certain voice. It can be funny, it can be sad, it can be melancholic. So today we are going to learn about that through two articles. So let's get started. I'll share my screen with you. Unit 2, understanding grammar, that we'll do later. We'll start with Unit 5. First of all, let's look at some grammar portions. Uh, the first grammar portion that you have in your syllabus in Unit 5 is tone. So what is tone basically? In a written composition or in anything that is written, whether it's an article, whether it's a novel, whether it's a short story, in anything, tone is the attitude of the writer towards a subject or audience. Okay? So how do we know what is the tone of the writer? Through his choice of words and through his viewpoint that he presents in the article. In our syllabus, we have two articles. So through these articles, we'll understand what tone really means. See, every thing that is written, it has a central theme, right? And the manner in which the writer approaches this theme is the tone. So let's say if the theme is coronavirus, or if the theme is the lockdown, if I make fun of it, if I crack jokes that the lockdown is so sad that everybody is going insane, and since everybody is going insane, they're posting on social media, then they making memes. So if I say something like this, that would be funny, right? So what is the approach? The approach of the writer and his choice of words towards a certain topic or a certain theme makes up the tone of the article or whatever is written, right? That the tone can be anything. The tone can be formal. If it's a serious subject and the author wants to talk about it seriously, it can be formal, it can be informal, it can be serious, comic, sarcastic, sad, or cheerful, or it can be any other attitude, right? So basically, what is tone? Tone is the attitude of the writer towards the subject matter or towards uh, the theme of whatever he or she is writing, right? Uh, let's look at examples here. So if someone says very cheerfully, we are going on a vacation, you know, and someone responds, "Oh, that's great." That so if you read these lines, the tone of these lines is cheerful. If someone says angrily, can someone tell me what is going on here? This has an aggressive tone. So the choice of words and your attitude towards whatever you are writing comprise makes your tone, right? So that is tone. Now let's look at register. What is register? So basically, register means how an author or a speaker uses language in different circumstances, right? So it includes a lot of things. It includes the tone of your voice, your body language, um, and the way you use the language. So, for instance, if you're talking to a friend, the language that you would use, the register that you would use would be very different. It would be very casual, it would be friendly, it would be funny. But when you're going for an interview, you're going to be very formal. So, your choice of words, your body language, the way you use the language, that is your register, is going to be very formal, right? So what is a register? Register is basically the way in which a speaker uses language. It has many aspects like your tone, your choice of words, the way you speak, the way you behave, your body language, everything, right? So that is register. Now let's come to word choice. So what is word choice? The words that a writer chooses while writing. Uh, that is the word choice, right? So, for instance, when you are writing a research paper or when you're writing an exam, the choice of your words is very academic. Your word choice is very academic, right? You can't crack jokes in your exam, you cannot be very funny. But when you are writing, let's say, a letter to your mother on Mother's Day, your word choice is going to be emotional. So, word choice is basically the words that a writer chooses to write something. Uh, a strong word choice would make your writing good. A weak word choice, if you don't use the right words in the right places, it would make your writing weak, right? So that is word choice. Um, you, while writing, you have to be very careful about your word choice, right? Because if you use very technical words, if words are I'm writing this part, if you can read it. If words are too difficult or too technical, the receiver may not understand them. If the words are too simple, the reader could become bored or be insulted. In either case, the message falls short of meeting its goals. So, basically, what I'm trying to tell you here is that whenever you're writing something, your word choice matters a lot. If you're using very technical words, then nobody would understand what you have written. If you're using very simple words, then people will get bored, right? So. That your word choice while writing is very important, right? So now that we have learned these some technical terms related to writing and how to create a voice in your writing, we are going to look at some articles. The suggested readings in your course. Just give me 2 seconds. If you can see my screen, uh, can you see my screen? On the screen, there is an article by Twinkle Khanna. I think you all know who Twinkle Khanna is. And she has written an article titled Lesson from Frida, Backbone Can Win Over Broken Spine. So this is one of the articles in your suggested reading, and I'm going to tell you a quick summary of what Twinkle Khanna is saying in this article. And then we are going to go paragraph by paragraph, and then we are going to apply whatever we have learned so far about tone and register. Right? Uh, so what is happening in this article? See, Nikhil Khanna is Akshay Khanna's wife. She is a writer, and she writes columns. Here in this article, Lesson from Frida, Backbone Can Win Over Broken Spine, she has written about Frida Kahlo and her life and how she went to an art exhibition to learn about the life of Frida Kahlo. For those who do not know who Frida Kahlo was a very, very famous artist. She used to paint, she was a painter. She's no more. She was alive in the previous century. She was born and brought up in Mexico, and why Frida is so interesting or why people continue to study Frida Kahlo is because she had a very charming personality and she was one of the greatest artists of her time. And moreover, what is interesting is that Frida had a very sad life. She was very unwell. She had polio when she was a child, and she had an accident which changed her life. And despite the fact that she had to live with pain all her life, despite the fact that she was an ill woman, she created art and she projected her pain in her art. So basically, in this article, the writer is writing about Frida, and while we are reading it, we are going to look at the tone that the writer has used. As you read it, you will get to know what the tone is, right? So, in the first paragraph, the writer Twinkle Khanna talks about how she attended um, a exhibition of Frida Kahlo's paintings and stuff about her life. The name of the exhibition was Making Herself Up. Okay? And then she talked about how she went there and she was looking at the early sketches. I examined the fierce and fabulous Frida Kahlo's early sketches. She's talking about how she looks like. Uh, she In the third paragraph she talks about her life. So she tells that when Frida was 6, she contracted polio, which left her with a shriveled right leg. So at a very young age, she had polio and she had a bad leg. She could not walk properly. And when she was 18 years old, Frida had a near death accident, near fatal accident, and the accident was so bad that she was bedridden for months and she was in pain for the rest of her life. The accident was so life changing. And how did Frida become an artist? Why did Frida start painting? Uh, because she was so much in pain and she was bedridden, she could not walk, she could not go outside, she could not enjoy her life. She started painting as a coping mechanism. Frida began to paint, transforming her bed from her prison to a studio. Okay. Then she talked about Frida's marriage, how Frida married a man named Diego Rivera, who was also a Mexican artist, and they had a very not I would not say a bad marriage, but it wasn't a happy marriage either. So she talks about the marriage. One thing that you have to understand is that see, uh, I did not know Frida. I did not know about Frida Kahlo before I read. This is a portrait of Frida Kahlo. She's the painter that they are talking about. If you want to look at it, so one thing that you have to understand is that how when someone writes about someone, how when Twinkle is writing about Frida Kahlo, you don't know about Frida Kahlo, I don't know about Frida Kahlo, but through this article, we are getting to know about her life, right? Uh, then further down in the article, she starts comparing her life to Frida's life. So Twinkle says that Frida's life was also spent in a lot of pain because she had that accident and her body could not function very properly. And Twinkle talks about how as a child she also had a lot of accidents, so much so that she had multiple fractures, she had multiple ligament tears, and again because her body could not heal completely, just like Frida went to painting as a coping mechanism to deal with her pain, Twinkle Khanna took to writing. You know? So in both, like in a way, she is comparing her life with Frida. She is telling that how there is a parallel, there is a similarity between both the women, Twinkle Khanna and Frida Kahlo. How they both took to art, one to painting and one to writing, to deal with their pain. Right. So here she talks about her story. Uh, that my tale didn't start with a crippling virus, but with a simple fall. So she fell down from first floor when she was 8, and then after every year she used to like fall down a lot. She used to get injured a lot. So she had a lot of fractures. She had um a lot of ligament tears. Here she talks about how many injuries she had. 30 odd. I'll highlight it so you can see better. 30 odd rips in my left leg and mercifully just 10 in my right. So in a way, her the tone here is funny. She's talking about something sad, but she's using humor. Uh, like for instance, here it says, there's one line. I now feel I have become a hobbyist, collecting ligament tears like other people collect stamps. So here she's actually making fun of her injuries. So here her tone is funny. Here she talks about how um, because she could not move because she had a lot of fractures, uh, but propping pillows beneath my leg, I read endlessly. How she read because she could not move. My love for words only grew stronger and eventually defined my life as well. And she talked about how she read so much that eventually she became a writer. Throughout the article, the tone changes a lot. In the beginning, it's funny because she uses humor in her writing. But when she talks about her injuries and her pain and her life, both her life and Frida Kahlo's life, the tone also changes into sadness, into melancholy, because she's talking about how art is born out of pain. See, we all have read about the lives of great artists, and we can imagine that how these artists had to go through a lot of pain in their life to write or to paint such great art, right? We all are familiar with that. So here she says, when the body is forced into stillness, the mind aches to run, and where can it escape but within? Frida, who once famously said, "Feet, what do I need them for? I have wings to fly." Okay. So here the tone is a little sad. Um, she talked about how she is looking at Frida's things in the exhibition that she's attending. Uh, Here she's talking about uh, a painting of Frida's that she sees. You know. This is a painting that depicts a dead fetus. A dead fetus is a dead baby, an unborn baby, a tragic reminder of a miscarriage. So basically, Frida had a miscarriage. Frida lost a baby and she did what she had always done with her pain. She put it into her art. Around 20% of pregnant women have experienced a miscarriage at some point. We just never talk about it. So here the tone is sad. The tone is sad because the subject is very sad. Frida's baby died, right? And she painted it. So Frida's loss went into her painting. Lost went into her painting. So I took mine and handed it over to the protagonist in my book. Uh, we all find different ways to breathe. Some run, some cook, some plant a flowering bush. But what we are unable to do is forget. So here, the tone and the word choice and the register, everything is very philosophical, and it's a little sad because she's talking about how people cope up with loss. Right? Um she talks about the kind of clothes that Frida wore when she was alive. She talks about how she had so many injuries that she had to wear long skirts to hide those injuries and to hide her deformed leg. Um, so the point that I want to make through this article, is that there is the tone in the article. It changes from money from funny to melancholy, and then from melancholy to funny. So she alternates the tone in the article, and that is what this unit is trying to teach you, how to create your own voice. See, she's talking about Frida Kahlo, who had a very sad life. So if someone wants to write something sad about it, they can use uh, a word choice or a register or a tone that makes you feel sad, right? While reading about her life, but she chooses to be funny and be melancholic. So the point is that when you're writing something, when when you're writing an article, the kind of words that you choose, what attitude you have towards your subject matter. Like for instance, uh, Thinker's subject matter here is Frida Kahlo and the life of Frida Kahlo, and she chooses to be funny about it, melancholic about it. She's comparing her life with Frida Kahlo's life, right? So my point is that when you write something, uh, and when you write something, whenever anybody writes something, they have their own voice. And how do you create your own voice? How does a writer create his or her own voice? Through choosing words, through choosing a tone, through choosing an attitude. So you don't control, like the words don't control you. You control the words. You control the tone of the article. Right? So I hope you understood what register, tone, and word choice means through this article. There's another suggested reading. It is a very brilliant piece of writing. Um, it is an article by Wired, How Social Media Endangers Knowledge. Right? So, if you look at I'll show you the syllabus again. So these are the readings, and if you want to get access to these readings, then you should read, because we can't read the readings line by line. We have limited time. So you can just simply either you can either click on these links, right? There's a hand cursor. You can click on these links, and you will get access to these articles. Um, or if the link is not working, like this link is working, this link is not working. So what you can do is you can copy the entire uh, link, and then you can paste it in Google. So you will get these articles, right? In fact, you can do it right now. If you have a spare phone or a laptop or whatever, you can read these articles with me. I've already uploaded the syllabus. I've already sent you the syllabus. It's there under files, so you can access the syllabus and access these articles from here. So I'll quickly tell you what is happening in this article, how social media endangers knowledge. It's a brilliant article, you should go and read it, but I'll quickly explain to you what is happening so that when you read it yourself, you can understand better. So basically, as you can see from the title, how social media endangers knowledge, what the author here is doing is that the author is criticizing social media. The author is saying that because of social media, we are not able to gain knowledge. Social media is a hindrance to our gaining knowledge. The writer starts talking about Wikipedia. You all are familiar with Wikipedia, right? So the author starts talking about Wikipedia and how Wikipedia is a kind of encyclopedia on the internet, and uh, how when it came to knowledge, when it came to access to information, Wikipedia started a revolution because you can Google anything on Wikipedia, you can type anything on Wikipedia, and you can get information on that, and that is how you get knowledge, right? Today, if you want to learn about anything, you can Wikipedia it, and that is how you can gain knowledge. But what the author is trying to say is that because social media has become so popular now, people have stopped reading. People have stopped reading. Rather, because of the television or because of the social media, people want to watch videos, people want to watch TV series, people want to watch things which have nothing to do with knowledge, which are just mindless entertainment. And that is why, because social media offers a lot of dumb content जिसमें आपको दिमाग नहीं लगाना पड़ता. The television and social media offers a lot of entertainment जिससे आपकी कोई नॉलेज में ग्रोथ नहीं होती है, जिससे आप कुछ नहीं सीखते, जिससे आपका सिर्फ टाइम वेस्ट होता है. उसकी वजह से डिस्पाइट द फैक्ट कि हमारे पास इंटरनेट है और हम दुनिया में जो चाहें वो सीख सकते हैं, हम नहीं सीखते क्योंकि हमारा सारा टाइम सोशल मीडिया में जाता है. तो in the article, the author is criticizing social media and she is saying that social media की वजह से हम नॉलेज की तरफ नहीं बढ़ पा रहे हैं. एंड what she's doing in this article is she talks about Wikipedia, that how Wikipedia is kind of an encyclopedia. तो अगर आपको याद हो, बचपन में हमारी वो encyclopedias होती थी जब इंटरनेट इतना पॉपुलर नहीं था. और encyclopedia खोल के उसको पढ़ के आपको बहुत सारी चीज़ों के बारे में पता लगता था. तो she talks about the history of encyclopedia and then कैसे इंसाइक्लोपीडियाज इररेलेवेंट हो गई, कैसे इंटरनेट में और कैसे सबसे पहले टेलीविजन ने इंसाइक्लोपीडियाज को, बुक्स को रिप्लेस कर लिया. उसके बाद से शी टॉक्स अबाउट हाउ सोशल मीडिया ने टेलीविजन को रिप्लेस कर लिया. एंड नाउ even if we have websites like Wikipedia on the internet, which provide knowledge, nobody actually uses them because everybody is busy using social media. So that is the crux of this article. That is what the writer is trying to say here. So we'll take a quick look. We'll go paragraph by paragraph. And we'll look at what the author is trying to say. I'll go slow this time because ये आर्टिकल थोड़ा टेक्निकल है, थोड़ा इसमें हेवी वोकैबुलरी है. सो आई विल गो स्लो सो दैट यू कैन रीड विद मी, ट्राई टू रीड विद मी. She opens by saying Wikipedia, one of the last remaining pillars of the open decentralized web, is an existential crisis. Existential crisis वैसे तो बहुत लंबा चौड़ा टर्म है, बट what you can understand is मुसीबत में, राइट? तो विकीपीडिया जो है वो she starts by saying that विकीपीडिया जो कि इंटरनेट का एक बहुत अच्छा हिस्सा है, वो आज की डेट में मुसीबत में है, राइट? एंड दिस हैज़ गॉट नथिंग टू डू विद मनी. ये ऐसा इसलिए नहीं है बिकॉज मतलब ऐसा इसलिए नहीं है कि विकीपीडिया के पास पैसे नहीं हैं, बट विकीपीडिया, लाइक social media is a threat to a source of knowledge like Wikipedia. And then she moves on to say that there's a general trend around the world. The very idea of knowledge itself is in danger. I'm going to highlight the parts that I'm reading so that you can see. And then she starts talking about Wikipedia and how Wikipedia is a kind of encyclopedia. The idea behind Wikipedia, like all encyclopedias before it, has been to collect the entirety of human knowledge. जो भी human knowledge के अंदर है उसको collect करना, right? And then she talks about the history of that, कि knowledge को पूरी जो ह्यूमन नॉलेज है उसको कलेक्ट करने की हिस्ट्री कहाँ से स्टार्ट हुई. It started from the इस्लामिक गोल्डन एज, जहाँ पे न्यूमरस स्कॉलर्स ने मोहम्मद के फेमस वर्डिक्ट सीक नॉलेज से इंस्पायर होके अपने को डेडिकेट कर दिया टू कलेक्टिंग एंड डॉक्यूमेंटिंग ऑल एग्जिस्टिंग इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन अ वाइड वैरायटी ऑफ टॉपिक्स, राइट. एक पर्शियन स्कॉलर थे जिन्होंने सबसे पहले एक इंसाइक्लोपीडिया बनाई. उसके बाद फिर दूसरे पर्शियन स्कॉलर थे, उन्होंने दूसरी इंसाइक्लोपीडिया बनाई, और ऐसे ऐसे स्कॉलर्स आते गए और वो बहुत सारी इंसाइक्लोपीडिया लिखते गए और नॉलेज का प्रोग्रेशन होता गया. दैट इज व्हाट शी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट, राइट. फिर वो यूरोप की बात करती हैं. ये तो इस्लामिक कंट्रीज में स्टार्ट हुआ. फिर वो यूरोप की बात करती हैं. यूरोप में कैसे नॉलेज का प्रोग्रेशन या नॉलेज का कलेक्शन स्टार्ट हुआ. एक मूवमेंट था यूरोप में एनलाइटमेंट के नाम से, और उसमें बहुत बड़े बड़े लोग थे लाइक फ्रांसिस बेकन एंड डेनिस डेडेरोट. उन्होंने इंसाइक्लोपीडियाज बनाना स्टार्ट किया फ्रांस में. इनफैक्ट उस टाइम पे चर्च की और उस टाइम पे रिलीजियस जो इंस्टीट्यूशंस थे उनकी काफ़ी चलती थी. तो चर्च को और रिलीजियस इंस्टीट्यूशंस को लगा कि नॉलेज या फिर साइंटिफिक नॉलेज इज़ अ थ्रेट टू रिलीजन. तो जैसे जैसे नॉलेज का प्रोपोगेशन होने लगा, इंसाइक्लोपीडिया का कॉम्पिटिशन होने लगा, द चर्च स्टार्टेड फीलिंग थ्रेटेंड, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल who notable revolutionary thinkers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu were involved in the editing of the work, and several even ended up in prison. No, so उनको जेल भी जाना पड़ा because people like the church thought, or the authorities or people in power thought that it's not a good thing. And then she talks about the internet. So basically what she's trying to do is that she is trying to trace the history. She's trying to trace the history of the collection of knowledge. And Wikipedia is a part of it. Wikipedia हमारे जनरेशन का प्रोडक्ट है, और इससे पहले इंसाइक्लोपीडिया कैसे हुआ करती थी, या इससे पहले लोग कैसे नॉलेज को कलेक्ट करते थे, वो उसके बारे में बात कर रही है. तो सबसे पहले वो इस्लामिक एज के बारे में बात करती हैं, जहाँ पे पर्शियन स्कॉलर्स ने नॉलेज को कलेक्ट करने का काम स्टार्ट किया. उसके बाद फिर वो एनलाइटमेंट की बात करते हैं, जहाँ पे यूरोप में स्कॉलर्स ने नॉलेज को कलेक्ट करने का काम स्टार्ट किया. एंड देन शी टॉक्स अबाउट द इंटरनेट, राइट. शी टॉक्स अबाउट द इंटरनेट एंड टेलीविजन. So when she talks about television, she says that television के आने के बाद से there are these lines. I'll read these lines and then I'll explain to you कि इनका meaning क्या है, right? वो ये बोलती हैं कि एक बड़े स्कॉलर हैं नील पोस्टमैन. उन्होंने एक किताब लिखी थी अम्यूजिंग आवरसेल्व्स टू डेथ. उनका उस किताब में ये कहना था that the rise of television introduced not just a new medium but a new discourse, a gradual shift from typographic culture to a photographic one. So, इसका मतलब क्या है? टाइपोग्राफिक का मतलब टाइप करके पढ़ने वाला, फोटोग्राफिक का मतलब देखने वाला. So what she's saying is that टेलीविजन के आने के बाद से नॉलेज का पूरा कल्चर ही चेंज हो गया. पहले हम लिख के और पढ़ के नॉलेज गेन करते थे, अब हम विजुअल मीन्स पे या फोटोग्राफिक मीन्स पे, यानी कि जिन चीज़ों को हम देख सकते हैं हम उन पे शिफ्ट हो गए हैं. And she says that that's bad. She says that that's bad because it meant a shift from rationality to emotions and exposition to entertainment. So she says that जब हम कुछ देख रहे होते हैं, when we are watching something, we don't think, we feel emotions. We don't think, we feel emotions. We don't gain knowledge, we feel entertainment. That is what she's saying. Uh, and she's saying that uh, in an image-centered and pleasure-driven world, ours is the image-centered world because we want to watch things, right? There is no place for rational thinking because we simply cannot think with images. Uh, and then she says that reading is superior, या books are superior. Why? Uh, because वो हमें logic और common sense सिखाते हैं, वो हमें ideas weigh करना सिखाते हैं. पर टेलीविजन हमें ये सब नहीं सिखाता, right? She says that when television came, it drastically changed the culture, and it drastically changed the culture for bad. Television was not a good thing as far as knowledge is concerned, but she also says that जब से इंटरनेट आया तब से ये ट्रेंड काफ़ी बदल गया. क्यों? क्योंकि जब इंटरनेट इन्वेंट हुआ था, जब इंटरनेट शुरू शुरू में लोगों के पास आना स्टार्ट हुआ, तब नेटफ्लिक्स नहीं था, तब यूट्यूब नहीं था, तब फेसबुक नहीं था, कुछ नहीं था, राइट? तो इंटरनेट किस लिए लोग यूज़ करते थे? इंटरनेट पे इंटरनेट एक्सप्लोरर था, गूगल था, और वो नॉलेज एक्सेस करने के लिए यूज़ करते थे, राइट? शी ऑल्सो सेज दैट इट वॉज अ प्योरली टेक्स्ट बेस्ड मीडियम. मतलब आप इंटरनेट पे कुछ देख नहीं सकते थे, आप इंटरनेट पे पढ़ सकते थे और लिख सकते थे, राइट? इट वॉज seen as a tool to pursue knowledge. यूनिवर्सिटीज़ ने इंटरनेट का यूज़ करना चालू किया. एंड शी टॉक्स अबाउट हाउ इंटरनेट वाज a tool of knowledge when it was invented, and then विकीपीडिया का भी ऐसे ही जन्म हुआ. विकीपीडिया हो गया, या फिर गूगल सर्च हो गया, या फिर ब्लॉग्स हो गए. तो दे वैल्यूड नॉलेज एंड लिटरेचर. जिसको भी जो भी नॉलेज थी वो कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकता था. नो एनीबडी कैन कंट्रीब्यूट टू द ग्लोबल कॉर्पस ऑफ नॉलेज. सो शी टॉक्स अबाउट हाउ internet was a better alternative to television, but then she says that सोशल मीडिया या सोशल नेटवर्क्स ने वो जो टेलीविजन ने डैमेज किया था वो अब दोबारा वापस ला दिया है, राइट? शी सेज दैट फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम, ये सारी जो चीज़ें हैं ये हमारा अटेंशन वीडियोस और इमेजेस पर फोकस कर देते हैं, और दे गिव अस इमोशनल अपील्स लाइक बटन, which is not rational, right? They do not give us knowledge. Why social media is bad? She says that it engages us in an endless quest for instant approval from an audience for which we are constantly but unconsciously performing, right? So if you think about it, if you rationally think about it, if we stop here and take a moment to introspect, हम में से कितने लोग हैं जो बार बार फेसबुक चेक करते हैं और हम ये देखते हैं कि हमारी फोटोज पे कितने लाइक आए, राइट? इन अ वे वी आर परफॉर्मिंग फॉर अदर पीपल, इन अ वे वी आर लिविंग फॉर अदर पीपल. या फिर हम फोटोज इसलिए नहीं डालते कि हमें वो फोटो अच्छी लग रही है, हम फोटोज इसलिए डालते हैं कि वो लोगों को अच्छी लगे, राइट? वी आर नॉट गिविंग आवरसेल्व्स अ लाइक, वी आर आस्किंग फॉर लाइक्स फ्रॉम अदर पीपल. सो दैट इज व्हाट द ऑथर इज सेइंग हियर कि ये जो पूरा ट्रेंड है, ये जो पूरा साइकोलॉजी है सोशल मीडिया के पीछे, ये साइकोलॉजी ही ये है कि आपको एक कांस्टेंट नीड ऑफ वैलिडेशन होती है जो आपको सोशल मीडिया से मिलती है, जो वो पूरी करती है. बट दैट्स अ बैड थिंग बिकॉज यू गेट एडिक्टेड टू इट, राइट? अगर आज आपने कोई फोटो डाली है और उस पर 1000 लाइक्स आते हैं, यू विल फील वेरी गुड, एंड यू वुड नाउ दैट यू नो दैट 1000 लाइक्स आ सकते हैं, यू वुड वांट 1000 likes again on the next photo. But what if next photo पे 1000 likes नहीं है? What if next photo पे कोई like नहीं है? You will feel sad. So what is happening here? What is happening here is that social media is controlling your brain, it's controlling your mind, it's controlling your emotions, making you feel sad or happy. Your happiness or sadness is not dependent on you, it's dependent on social media now. That is the point that author is trying to make, right? And she is saying that it is also dangerous. There are these lines which are very important. It reduces our curiosity by showing us exactly what we already want and think based on our profiles and preferences. I don't know how many of you have heard of that privacy debate. आपको पता है कि साइट्स जो है वो कुकी यूज़ करती हैं, कुकीज़ यूज़ करती हैं. ये ट्रैक करने के लिए या फिर ये मैप करने के लिए कि आप क्या देख रहे हैं, आप क्या पढ़ रहे हैं, आप सोशल मीडिया को कैसे यूज़ करें, आपको क्या पसंद है, आपको क्या नापसंद है। अ, आप में से कितनों के साथ ऐसा हुआ है कि अगर आपको कोई चीज़ खरीदनी है और आपने उसके बारे में गूगल किया है तो आपको उसके एडवर्टीजमेंट दिखने लगते हैं हर जगह। आप कहीं भी जाएँ या कोई भी वेबसाइट खोलें या फेसबुक करें या फिर कुछ भी करें, वहाँ पे आपको उसके एडवर्टीजमेंट दिखने लगते हैं। Why is that happening? Because social media knows what you like and social media wants you to see that only. तो अगर आपको वही दिखता रहेगा जो आप दिखना चाहते हैं, how will you grow? How will you learn? How will you be more curious? That is why she is saying that social media is dangerous. Um, but she also says that ये सब प्रॉब्लम है सोशल मीडिया के साथ, but then she's also saying that it doesn't mean that it's time to give up. She can say she's saying basically she's saying is that we if the power is in our hands, we still have time, we still have hope, we can still uh, shift the focus of the internet and use the internet for gaining knowledge and celebrating platforms like Wikipedia rather than celebrating platforms like Facebook and Instagram, any social media that actually makes us dumb. You know? And ये जो debate है ये काफी common है यार, and you are all familiar with this debate of how people say that social media is going to make you dumb, and it does, right? Uh, you're not learning anything, you're not growing by using social media, you're not gaining knowledge. Uh, that is the point that the author is trying to make, right? Uh, so we are done with the articles here. So we are done with unit 5. The entire point of making you read these articles. So if you see in the second article, that is how social media endangers knowledge. And if you compare the first article with the second article, जब अगर आप ट्विंकल खन्ना का आर्टिकल फ्रीडा कालो वाला इस आर्टिकल के साथ कंपेयर करें, तो जो पहला आर्टिकल है उसकी टोन जो है वो काफ़ी फनी है, थोड़ी सी सैड है, थोड़ी सी मेलनकोलिक है। लेकिन ये जो सेकेंड आर्टिकल है इसकी टोन बहुत सीरियस है, बहुत फॉर्मल है, बहुत एकेडमिक है। इसमें जो शब्द यूज हुए हैं वो काफ़ी हैवी है, वो काफ़ी टेक्निकल है, जो वर्ड चॉइस है वो टेक्निकल है, जो रजिस्टर है वो एकेडमिक है, जो टोन है वो सीरियस है एंड क्रिटिसिज्म वाली है। इट्स अ लिटिल नेगेटिव बिकॉज द ऑथर इज क्रिटिसाइजिंग सोशल मीडिया एंड इट्स अ नेगेटिव क्रिटिसिज्म। So this is how you can differentiate between the tone, register, and word choice in two articles. Okay. So we are done with unit 5. Um, what we are going to do is we are going to take a short break of 10 minutes, and then we are going to continue with unit 2. I'll briefly tell you what is unit 2. I'll show you the syllabus. Show you the syllabus. Yes. So this is unit 2, understanding grammar. So in this unit we are going to learn how you can understand language better through reading grammar, and what are the aspects of language that drama teaches you. And in your suggested readings you have a short poetic play by C.S. Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the author, and Ambai is the pseudonym. Ambai is the alternative name that she uses, and the title of the play is Crossing the River. So we are going to read that, and we are going to look at the means we are going to look at it's a play based on feminism. It's a play based on mythology, and we are going to look at the themes and what the author is trying to say. Right. So we'll take a break of a very short break of 10 minutes, and you can drink water. You can use the washroom, whatever you want. If you have any problems or doubts, you can type them in the chat box or the Q&A section, and we'll meet after 10 minutes. Alright, I'll see you after 10 minutes.
अरे राम। इसमें कुछ आपके नहीं लिखा होगा। हम्म। अच्छा। 2:40। अब तुम बोल रही 2:30 बजे कह रही। अब तुम कह रही 2:30 बजे टाइम पूछ रही है। तेरा भी बोलो।
Okay, all right. Let's come back. The break is over. So we are done with Unit 5. Now we are going to start Unit 2. Um, I'm going to share some slides with you. In Unit 2, what we are going to do is we have a play by an author. Now, I would like to tell you something about the author. The author's name is C.S. Lakshmi. बट ऐसे बहुत सारे ऑथर्स होते हैं जो अपने सूडो नेम अपने पेन नेम यूज़ करते हैं लिखने के लिए. तो उनका जो पेन नेम है वो अंबाई है. तो and she's a she's a Tamil writer. She's a Tamil writer. She has originally written this play, Crossing the River, in Tamil, and उसका जो ट्रांसलेशन है वो इंग्लिश में है. So the play is very short. So what we are going to do is we are going to go line by line, and then we are going to analyze it. तो हम लाइन बाय लाइन वो प्ले पढ़ेंगे, हम उसको एनालाइज करेंगे और फिर उसमें जो थीम्स हैं या उसमें ऑथर क्या बोलना चाह रही हैं वो हम डिस्कस करेंगे, राइट. So I'll share my screen which has the PDF of the play with you. Hope you can see the PDF. There's one more thing that I would like to clarify. तो बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स बोल रहे हैं PDF भेजने के लिए. शॉर्ट स्टोरीज के कल के लेक्चर के जितने भी PDF हैं, इनफैक्ट मेरा जो पावरपॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन है वो फाइल्स मैंने ऑलरेडी भेज दी हैं. एंड वो फाइल्स के अंडर सेक्शन में होंगी, या फिर आप सर को कॉन्टैक्ट कर सकते हैं. वो आपको बता देंगे कि आप फाइल्स कैसे एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. तो मैंने सब कुछ अपलोड कर दिया है, सिलेबस अपलोड कर दिया है, लेक्चर 1 के नोट्स, लेक्चर 2 के नोट्स सब अपलोड हो गए. सो प्लीज स्टॉप आस्किंग मी टू सेंड द PDF एंड फाइल्स बिकॉज आई ऑलरेडी सेंड देम. आपको इंटरनेट पे नहीं मिल रहा है कोई बात नहीं, इंटरनेट पे ये जो PDF है अवेलेबल है भी नहीं उतनी आसानी से. जो अवेलेबल हैं लाइक 3 ब्लाइंड मैन डिस्क्राइब एन एलिफेंट, तो वो इंटरनेट पे है, वो आप इंटरनेट से देख लें. एंड द रेस्ट आई हैव ऑलरेडी सेंट यू. Alright, so now let us start the play. The title of the play is Crossing the River. It's written by C.S. Lakshmi or Ambai. So whenever you read a play, play के starting में stage के directions होते हैं. वो आपको बताते हैं कि स्टेज का सेटिंग क्या है, स्टेज पे क्या हो रहा है, जिससे कि आप इमेजिन कर पाए कि स्टेज कैसा दिखता है, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट वॉचिंग इट लाइव, राइट. तो ये जो पैराग्राफ है स्टार्टिंग में, अ बेयर स्टेज, those are actually stage directions. Because we actually read the play and go line by line, I'll quickly tell you कि इस play में क्या हो रहा है, या इस play की जो theme है वो क्या है. So I hope that all of you are familiar with the story of Ramayan and the character of Sita and what happened with Sita in Ramayan. अगर आपको नहीं पता है, बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिनको नहीं पता है कि जब राम अयोध्या वापस आ जाते हैं अपने एग्जाइल से, अपने बनवास से, उसके बाद सीता के साथ क्या होता है. लॉट ऑफ पीपल डोंट नो दैट, सो आई टेल यू द स्टोरी ऑफ सीता सो दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड द प्ले बेटर. what is happening in this play is that सीता का कैरेक्टर है और इस प्ले में सिर्फ सीता है, सीता का कैरेक्टर है. पूरा जो प्ले है वो पूरा जो स्टेज है वो खाली है. उस पर देयर इज वन वुमन स्टैंडिंग, शी इज सीता, शी इज अ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ, शी रिप्रेजेंट्स सीता एंड शी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट रामायण में सीता के साथ कितना अन्याय हुआ था. बेसिकली वो जो वुमन है, वो जो सीता का कैरेक्टर है जो अंबाई स्टेज पे प्रेजेंट कर रही है, that is a symbol of every woman, that is a symbol of patriarchy, like of how women face patriarchy. एंड रामायण में सीता को ज़्यादा वॉइस नहीं दी गई है. रामायण में सीता के जो रामायण में जो हीरो हैं वो राम है. अगर हम रामायण की बात करें तो हम राम की बात करते हैं, हम सीता की इतनी बात नहीं करते. इस प्ले में अंबाई हैज चेंज्ड इट. she has only given voice to Sita. There is no voice for Ram. There is no other character. There is just a character of Sita, and Sita is talking about her plight. Sita is talking about womanhood. Sita is talking about how uh, इन रामायण बहुत इनजस्टिस हुआ था सीता के साथ, और वो इनजस्टिस सिर्फ रामायण के टाइम पे नहीं होता था, वो अभी भी होता है और होता आया है इतने सदियों से विमेन के साथ. तो दिस इज व्हाट ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट. थीम्स दैट आर इन दिस प्ले आर रीइन्वेंटिंग मिथोलॉजी. तो मिथोलॉजी को भी देखने के अलग अलग नज़रिए और तरीके होते हैं. तो उन्होंने रामायण की जो कहानी है और सीता का जो कैरेक्टर है उसको एक फेमिनिस्ट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखा है. So this is what is happening in the play. ये मोटी मोटी थीम है थी. Now we are going to go line by line. पहले हम ऊपर ऊपर से लाइन बाय लाइन समझेंगे एंड देन उसके बाद फिर हम इसके थीम्स को एनालाइज करेंगे. I'll read it out with you. Read with me. Once again, there is a river before me, cradling the moon's rays and flowing slowly. A clear river, revealing the sands beneath. An open river, a river that reveals and hides, hiding the scratched rose, the flowers that have touched dead bodies, hiding the fury that bursts and destroys trees, plants, shelters, and lives. A river that hides. So, in the first paragraph, she's talking about the river. She's saying that there is a river in front of her, and then she's describing the river in symbolic language. इस river का क्या symbolism है ये हम बाद में देखेंगे, but जो opening scene है वो if you look at the stage direction, there is a bare stage. There is a woman who faces the audience. She is dressed in black. She is actually not facing the audience. Her back is to the audience. तो वो उसकी पीठ जो है वो audience की तरफ है. Her head is bent low. Her hands low. And उस पे light गिर रही है, right? So that is the position. That is the what is happening on the stage. And she is these lines are being recited by the woman standing on the stage, who is Sita. Which river is this? Is this Sarayu, Yamuna, Ganga, Kaveri, Godavari, नर्मदा? तो वो पूछती है कि ये कौन सी नदी है, ये नदियों के नाम लेती है. इसमें सरायू का ये सिग्निफिकेंस है. अगर आप सबको याद हो तो सरायू का बहुत सिग्निफिकेंस है रामायण में. Sarayu is the river where Sarayu is a river which runs parallel to Ayodhya, and Sarayu के काफी सारे references हैं रामायण में. Sarayu is the river where King Dashrath accidentally kills Shravan Kumar. We all are familiar with the story of Shravan Kumar. हमने बचपन में वो कहानी सुनी है. तो श्रवण कुमार पानी भरने जाते हैं. वो जो सरायू नदी है वहाँ से पानी भरने जाते हैं, उसी के बैंक पे दशरथ से उनकी हत्या हो जाती है. Then she says कि what does it matter which river it is? क्या फर्क पड़ता है कि ये कौन सी नदी है? It is a river that banks on two sides of it. It is a river that shows the other bank. It is a river stretched like a snake, showing the way to places far away, very far away, mountain tops, dense forests, flowing waterfalls. She's still talking about the river. Again, the river is symbolic. वो उसमें क्या symbolism है? We'll talk about it when we discuss themes. I have come a long way through forests with leaves whispering in the wind, breeze caressing my face, touching my hair, swiftly facing the wind, hands stretched and looking up at the sky. I came laughing, thinking and then destroyed and free. So she's talking about her journey. She's talking about, see, if you look at the character of Sita, उनकी जो ज़्यादातर ज़िंदगी है वो फॉरेस्ट में ही गुजरी है. उनका जो 14 वर्ष का वनवास था राम के साथ, that was in the forest. And even after the exile ended, even after Ram and Sita came back to Ayodhya, Ram stayed in Ayodhya, but Sita went back to the forest. So she's talking about her life in the forest and how her life was spent in the forest. At first it was happy, and then how sad it became. Then स्टेज की जो डायरेक्शंस हैं वो थोड़े से चेंज होते हैं. सीता खड़ी हैं और देन आपको स्टेज के पीछे से वॉइसेस सुनाई देती हैं, बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल. वॉइसेस के साथ हवा की भी आवाज़ है. एंड the voices are asking her, जो आवाजें हैं वो सीता से पूछ रही हैं कि who are you, तुम कौन हो? Who are you? There's sadness in your eyes, your body is tired, your words come limping, your voice is exhausted. Who are you? You look familiar. तो वो उससे पूछ रही है कि तुम कौन हो? एंड ये जो सवाल है कि तुम कौन हो, सीता से पूछा जा रहा है कि तुम कौन हो, so this is actually raising a question on the identity of a woman. Who is a woman? How do we, who do we allow the woman to be? Is she a mother? Is she a daughter? Is she a wife? Is she a goddess? Is she a demon? Who is she? How do we, like, a woman has multiple identities, but is she allowed to have her own identity? So ये जो सवाल है, who are you? This is a question which asks her about your identity, कि तुम्हारी पहचान क्या है? Because if you look at society, and if you look at how women are identified in the society, if you remember, जब निर्भया रेप केस हुआ था तो फिर मीडिया वाले और सारे पॉलिटिशियंस वालों ने बड़ा प्रोपेगेंडा किया था, दे कॉल्ड हर देश की बेटी, and it is, let's think about it, when we talk about women, we always either label them as mothers or wives or daughters. We never allow her to be just a woman. We never allow her to be a lady. We never allow her to have her own identity. She's either someone's wife or daughter or mother. uh, this is how जो सोसाइटी में विमेन की प्लेस है वो एक सेकेंडरी पार्टनर की तरह, उसकी आइडेंटिटी या तो उसके बाप या तो उसके भाई या तो उसके पति पे डिपेंड करती है। तो ये जो सवाल है, who are you, that is actually questioning a woman's place, a woman's identity in the society. And then उसका जो पूरा depiction है, your body is tired, your words come liquid, your voice is exhausted, that shows the suffering of Sita, that how much Sita suffered. And here it's not this play, it's just not about Sita, it's about every woman. Sita is a symbol, a representative of every woman. And ये जो पूरा imagery है कि सीता कितनी थकी हुई है, that actually shows that Sita is so tired because she has suffered so much. She's tired of suffering. She's tired of being oppressed. She's tired of being shackled by the patriarchal structure of the society. So this paragraph is symbolic of tiredness and suffering. ये जो पैराग्राफ है, आर यू द फेस इन अ रवि वर्मा पेंटिंग, ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है और इसको हम एनालाइज करेंगे व्हेन वी डिस्कस द थीम्स। और इसमें कुछ कुछ रेफरेंसेस हैं। सी दिस प्ले इज वेरी लोडेड विद रेफरेंसेस फ्रॉम हिंदू मिथोलॉजी, so I'll try to explain as many references as I can. रवि वर्मा एक बहुत फेमस आर्टिस्ट थे जिन्होंने देवी देवताओं की पेंटिंग्स बनाई। जब उससे पहले, उनकी पेंटिंग्स से पहले हमें नहीं, हमारा जो चेहरा है कि गणेश कैसे दिखते हैं या लक्ष्मी जी कैसे दिखती हैं, वो जो चेहरा है, वो जो पेंटिंग्स हैं, द फेस ऑफ दीज गॉड्स एंड गॉडेसेस, दैट वाज मेड पॉपुलर बाय रवि वर्मा। सो the Ravi Verma reference subscribes to that, or the statue in the temple, or the mother holding the holy child. Where have we seen? What distances have we transferred? So ये जो तीन लाइनें हैं, are you the face in a Ravi Verma painting, or the statue in the temple, or the mother holding the holy child? These lines tell you that हम अपनी सोसाइटी में विमेन को कैसे देखते हैं। या तो उनको हम गॉडेस की तरह देखते हैं, सीता एज अ गॉडेस, राइट, या तो उनको हम मंदिर में मूर्ति की तरह रखते हैं, या तो हम उनको द इमेज ऑफ द मदर होल्डिंग द होली चाइल्ड, दैट इमेज रेफर्स टू क्रिश्चियनिटी। So again, these lines refer to the compartments of image that we have put women under. The women is either seen as a goddess or something to be worshipped, or a symbol of holiness, or a mother, right? So this is a reference to how we how we portray women as goddesses, and that stereotype. And then the woman introduces herself. She talks about her. उससे वो ऐसे पूछती है कि तुम कौन हो? And she says, I am Sita. I am Sita who entered the forest, who got imprisoned in the forest and is now roaming in forest because of love, lust and politics. I am Sita the born, I am Sita the cheated, I am Sita who has nothing. So here, Sita is telling the audience that she is a victim of patriarchy, she is a victim of gender politics, and she does not own anything. Kingdom था तो वो राम का था, वो सीता का नहीं था, right? राजा राम थे, but the fact that राम सीता को निकाल सके अपने किंगडम से, उनको बैनिश कर सके, उनको फॉरेस्ट में रहना पड़ा, डिस्पाइट द फैक्ट दैट हर हस्बैंड वाज अ किंग, probably the greatest king on earth, he was a god. So that shows the question of ownership, how a woman really owns nothing. उसका जो होता है is actually something that her husband owns, right? So here Sita says that I who has nothing. Um, and if you look at it, she's a married woman, yet she does not have a husband. And here, because I think that a lot of you are not familiar with the entire story of Sita, so I'll tell you the story of Sita. आप सबको वाल्मीकि रामायण की जो कहानी है वो पता है कि उसकी कहानी कैसे होती है। तो सीता जो है वो राजा जनक की बेटी होती हैं, वो अर्थ में से निकली होती हैं। एक बार राजा जनक अपनी सॉइल को टिल कर रहे होते हैं और उसके उसके अंदर उनको सीता मिलती है और वो सीता को अपनी बेटी बना लेते हैं और उनको पाल पोस के बड़ा करते हैं। और एक दिन व्हेन शी बिकम्स ऑफ मैरिजेबल एज तो उनका स्वयंवर होता है। स्वयंवर में शिव जी का धनुष होता है और कंडीशन होती है कि जो धनुष को उठा लेगा वो सीता से शादी कर लेगा। राम आते हैं विश्वामित्र के गुरुकुल से और वो धनुष को तोड़ देते हैं और उनकी सीता से शादी हो जाती है। उसके बाद यू आर ऑल फेमिलियर विद द स्टोरी ऑफ रामायण दैट राजा को राम को राजा बनाने की बात चलती है। एंड देन केकई, वन ऑफ द वाइफ ऑफ दशरथ हु इज द फादर ऑफ राम, वो उनको बोलती हैं कि उनको अपने बेटे यानी कि भरत को राजा बनते हुए देखना है। राम को 14 साल के वनवास के लिए भेज दिया जाता है। वो 14 साल के वनवास में जंगल में रहते हैं, बहुत ऋषि मुनि यो जैसी तपस्वी जैसी लाइफ जीते हैं और 14 वर्ष के वनवास के बाद वो वापस अयोध्या आते हैं और राजा बन जाते हैं। They live happily ever after. This is the story that we know. This is the story that is told to us. This is the story that is taught to us. But the story does not end here. Especially Sita's story does not end here. तो सीता के साथ क्या होता है कि जब राम अयोध्या वापस आते हैं, राम और सीता, तो सीता जब जा रहे होते हैं, और इस कहानी के बहुत सारे वर्जन हैं। आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गेट इनटू द intricacies of it. I'm just trying to tell you the rough version that we all know and we all accept. So जब वो वापस आते हैं तो एक धोबी सीता पे उंगली उठाता है कि अरे ये तो रावण के साथ नहीं है, तो हाउ इज शी प्योर। एंड वो अपनी प्योरिटी सिद्ध करने के लिए, वो अपनी प्योरिटी प्रूव करने के लिए अग्नि परीक्षा देती है। शी वॉक्स थ्रू फायर। और उस टाइम पे मिथोलॉजी में, संस्कृत मिथोलॉजी में ये बहुत रीअकरिंग सिंबल हुआ करता था कि अगर एक वुमन प्योर है, इफ शी इज चेस्ट, तो शी कैन वॉक थ्रू फायर एंड कम आउट अनहार्म्ड। So that is where the motive of Agni Pariksha comes from. And despite the fact that Sita gave Agni Pariksha, she was declared as pure. She was so sad by the fact that राम ने उन पे डाउट किया, उनको अग्नि परीक्षा देने के लिए बोला। बट उनकी एग्जाइल के बाद जब राम राजा बन गए तो सीता वापस फॉरेस्ट में चली गई। वो महर्षि वाल्मीकि के आश्रम में रही जहाँ पे उन्होंने लव कुश को जन्म दिया और वो उन्होंने अपनी पूरी जिंदगी फॉरेस्ट में बिताई। और जब उनको समाधि लेनी थी तो शी वॉज सो डिसइल्यूजन्ड विद द लाइफ दैट शी लेड, शी वॉज सो सैड विद द लाइफ शी लेड that she gave herself to the earth. She buried herself in the earth, which is where she came from in the first place. तो सब लोग इस बारे में बात करते हैं। हमें जो कहानी पढ़ाई गई है वो ये कि राम और सीता वनवास गए, वो वापस आए उन्होंने रावण को हराया, धर्म और अच्छाई की जीत हुई और उसके बाद दे लिव हैप्पीली एवर आफ्टर. दे डिड नॉट लिव हैप्पीली एवर आफ्टर. सीता नेवर लिव हैप्पीली एवर आफ्टर, राइट? So here the author is referring to that sad part of Sita's life. Sita was never happy. She never led a happy life. She was a queen. But she, despite the fact that she was a queen, despite the fact that she was married to a god, despite the fact that she was married to the greatest king on earth, जिनकी ख्याति विश्व प्रसिद्ध थी, she had nothing. At the end, she had nothing. Not even her own children, right? So that is why she says, "I am Sita who has nothing." एंड देन वो पूछते हैं कि तुम कौन सी सीता हो. और रिमेंबर दैट रामायण के बहुत सारे वर्जन हैं. कंबन रामायण है, तो पूछता है क्या तुम कंबन की सीता हो, क्या तुम वाल्मीकि की सीता हो, क्या तुम तुलसीदास की सीता हो, क्या तुम माया सीता हो. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर फेमिलियर विद द स्टोरी ऑफ माया सीता. तो ऐसा बोला जाता है कि जब सीता को रावण ने अबडक्ट किया और जब उनको अग्नि परीक्षा देनी थी, तो अग्नि गॉड, द गॉड ऑफ फायर दैट इज अग्नि, उन्होंने एक माया सीता बनाई, यानी कि जो सीता का एक इल्यूजनरी रूप था. एंड वो जो सफरिंग्स थी, वो जो रावण के हाथों जो सफरिंग उनको झेलनी पड़ी या फिर जो वो अग्नि परीक्षा देनी पड़ी, वो रियल सीता को नहीं देनी पड़ी, वो माया सीता को देनी पड़ी, राइट? So are you the Maya Sita created to bear the pain and sorrow for the real Sita, or the Sita made of gold to legitimize rituals? Again, there is a reference to the Sita made of gold, and I again don't know how many of you are familiar with this story. तो कहानी ऐसी है कि जब राम ने सीता को बोल दिया कि वो अग्नि परीक्षा के बाद वाल्मीकि के आश्रम में फॉरेस्ट में रहें, तो राम को उसके बाद अश्वमेध यज्ञ करना था. और अश्वमेध यज्ञ हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ का कपल करता है किंगडम की खुशी के लिए. तो उसमें वाइफ की प्रेजेंस जरूरी होती है, लेकिन उस टाइम पे सीता नहीं थी, बिकॉज सीता तो फॉरेस्ट में थी. तो सीता की कमी पूरी करने के लिए राम ने एक सोने की सीता बनवाई, प्योर गोल्ड की सीता. जितना सीता का वेट था उतना ही उस स्टैचू का वेट था, एंड उसके साथ यज्ञ किया, राइट? सो दैट इज व्हाट शी मीन्स बाय द सीता मेड ऑफ गोल्ड, टू लेजिटिमाइज रिचुअल्स. तो सीता सोने की बनाई गई सिर्फ एक रिचुअल को पूरा करने के लिए, सिर्फ एक यज्ञ को पूरा करने के लिए, राइट? शी वाज दैट रिप्लेसेबल. आर यू द सीता ऑफ पीपल्स केस, अ डिफरेंट सीता आर यू? तो वो पूछते हैं उससे कि वो कौन सी सीता है, और फिर सीता बोलती है कि क्या फर्क पड़ता है विद सीता, यार मैं रियल हूँ, फॉल्स हूँ, किसने मुझे शब्दों में ढाला है, किसने मुझे शब्दों में जकड़ा है. नो, यू ऑल्सो हैव टू रिमेंबर दैट रामायण किसी फीमेल राइटर ने कभी नहीं लिखी थी, रामायण मेल राइटर्स ने लिखी थी. और आप जितनी भी मिथोलॉजीज देखें, जितने भी आप राइटर्स देखें जिन्होंने विमेन के कैरेक्टर्स बनाए, दे आर ऑल मेल. how does a male writer know, how would a male writer know what are the problems that a woman faces, what are the thoughts that are in a woman's mind? वो तो एक woman का character वैसे ही portray करेगा जैसे उसे करना है, right? So if Sita is the obedient wife which is constructed by the writer, which is constructed by Tulsidas or Valmiki, right? I am the Sita that authority creates, I am the Sita that state creates. So here the author says that a woman is constructed. The entire idea of a woman is constructed by society and politics. And इसका मतलब क्या है, इसका डेप्थ में मतलब क्या है, वो हम themes में देखेंगे. I am Sita brought up with words, be this way, stand this way, sit this way, write this way, think this way. Your Ayodhya is where Ram is. You go to the forest if he wants it. Your purity is for the fire to prove. You are the Sita who bears sons and the oppressed Sita. So she says that, and if you look at it, women को हमेशा बोला जाता है, right from the time we are born and we are growing up, we are that ऐसे मत बैठो, लड़की की तरह बैठो. हमें बोला जाता है कि ऐसे मत खड़े हो, पैर फैला के मत बैठो, ऐसे तो लड़के बैठते हैं, ऐसे मत लेटो, ऐसे मत हंसो. जैसे I don't know how many of you gone through this as women and as girls, but हमें बोला जाता है कि ज़्यादा जोर से मत हंसो, because it's not feminine enough, right? लड़कियों को शादी के बाद बोला जाता है कि जहाँ तुम्हारा पति है वहीं तुम्हारा घर है. जो वो जो बोलेगा तुम्हें वैसा ही करना है, बिकॉज दैट इज द वाइफ्स रोल, शी हैज टू बी ओबीडियंट टू द हस्बैंड, दैट इज व्हाट शी इज बोर्न फॉर. सो शी थिंक ये जो लाइन्स हैं, थिंक दिस वे और अयोध्या इज वेयर राम is. You know, she's talking about, the author is talking about how women are conditioned. women को एक certain way में सोचना सिखाया जाता है by society. उनको बिहेव करना सिखाया जाता है by society. Their life, their identity is conditioned and dictated by society. They are not free to think on their own. उनको बचपन से सिखाया जाता है कि ये गलत है और ये सही है, राइट? जबकि वो सही गलत नहीं होता, वो सिर्फ कंडीशनिंग होती है सोसाइटी की. एंड देन वो फिर से उससे पूछते हैं कि तुम कौन हो, हमें बताओ कि तुम कौन हो. डू यू हैव आइडेंटिटी और अ प्लेस, या तुम्हारे दूसरे नाम हैं? सो हियर द ऑथर टॉक्स अबाउट I occupy several names. I am also Thataka, born in a forest. Thataka is in Ramayana. Thataka refers to a demoness, एक राक्षसनी जिसके दो बेटे थे, मरीश एंड वन मोर, मरीश एंड सुबाहु. तो अगर आपको रामायण की स्टोरी पता है तो राम वन में जाके विश्वामित्र के कहने पे इन तीनों का वध करते हैं, बिकॉज ये ऋषियों को परेशान करते थे. सो शी इज सेइंग दैट द वुमन, या तो उसको गॉडेस के फॉर्म में देखा जाता है, यू नो, लाइक शी इज सेइंग दैट द आइडेंटिटी ऑफ अ वुमन इज ऑलवेज ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट. या तो शी इज वेरी गुड, या तो शी इज वेरी बैड. या तो शी इज अ गॉडेस, या तो शी इज अ डेमोनिस. या तो शी इज एन एंजल, या तो शी इज द डेविल. शी इज नेवर अलाउड टू बी ह्यूमन. दैट इज व्हाट द ऑथर इज सेइंग, दैट उसको ह्यूमन आइडेंटिटी नहीं दी जाती है. या तो उसको बिल्कुल नीचे गिरा दिया जाता है, या तो उसको एकदम पेडिस्टल पे चढ़ा दिया जाता है. या तो उसको इम्प्योर बोला जाता है, या तो उसको प्योर बोला जाता है. देयर इज नो मिडिल ग्राउंड, यू नो. Then she says that an authority called Ram, an arrogance called Ram, an ego called Ram, a politics called Ram humiliated me. I am a being of this forest, a Sataka. So this shows a dynamic of power. There's always a power relation between a man and a woman, and because we live in a patriarchal society, because there is no equality, the man always has more power. He can do whatever he wants to a woman, right? And that is what she's talking about. राम ने चाहा तो सीता को छोड़ दिया, राम ने चाहा तो सीता को बचा लिया, राम ने चाहा तो उन्होंने हटाका को मार दिया. You never see the woman having the power, right? You never see the woman having a choice. That is what that's the point that the author is trying to make here. वो उससे पूछ रहे हैं कि आर यू अ मैन और अ वुमन, आर यू ह्यूमन? और सीता बोलती हैं कि आई एम अ वुमन, आई एम अ मैन, आई एम एन ऑब्जेक्ट, आई एम द थिंग threatened out by rulers. They roll me over, push me aside, crush me. I am Ravan if Ram so wishes. In Ram's Raj, I am the Sambuga. Sambuga is also a reference to a story in Ramayana. Sambuga is a Dalit, a lower caste man who is killed by Ram. And then she talks about, she says that I am the horse thrown into the ritual fire. तो जब यज्ञ करते हैं तो अश्वमेध यज्ञ करते हैं तो घोड़े की बलि देते हैं. आई एम द frog whom Rama's arrow pierced. I am the thing caught in the illusion of a reign of love. So she is talking about that she is a symbol of oppression. She is everybody who has been oppressed. She has been people. She has been and she gives reference to Dalits. Dalits have been oppressed by society since generations. Women have been oppressed by society. Uh, animal cruelty की अगर आप बात करें, animals have been oppressed by humans. So she is a human more than a man, more than a woman, more than any gendered being. She is actually a symbol of oppression. That's what she's saying. And here she says that she has been oppressed in many ways. And in the last paragraph is very important. तो पूरे प्ले में सीता अपनी कहानी बता रही है कि कैसे उनको मिथोलॉजी में, कैसे उनको कंटेम्प्रेरी वर्ल्ड में, कैसे एक वुमन को ओप्रेस किया जाता है, कैसे उसकी आइडेंटिटी उसकी खुद की नहीं होती, कैसे उसको ब्लैक एंड वाइट में पोर्ट्रे किया जाता है बाय मेन, बाय राइटर्स, बाय सोसाइटी. And at the end, the paragraph where she says, there is strength still left. I shall cross the river. I shall cross the river to see the new world, to assume a new form, to create a new Rajya. So she is saying that she'll cross the river. There is still strength left in her. इतना सफर करने के बाद, इतना दबाए जाने के बाद, इतना oppressed होने के बाद भी उनमें अभी उतनी strength है that she can fight back. She can fight the patriarchy. She can fight her oppression. And crossing the river here is a symbol of breaking out of the shackles of patriarchy. अभी तक उनको जिन shackles में रखा गया है उसको तोड़ना. Crossing the river is actually a symbol for breaking all these oppressions, all these foundations, and creating her own identity, where she says that to assume a new form and create a new Rajya. And there, in the last line, to create a new Rajya means that she is going to form her own identity that is independent of how she has been portrayed till now, that is independent of the restrictions imposed on women by society, right? So that is the text. Um, it's a very simple play, uh, and it's a very interesting play. Now let's look at the themes to make it easier, because इस पे ज़्यादा मटेरियल इंटरनेट पे नहीं है, और इसका जो PDF है वो भी इंटरनेट पे नहीं है. I've prepared a few slides. I have narrowed down a few themes. You can use that. You can read it. I'll upload it at the end of the session, and the slides will be available. I'll just share them with you. So let's just discuss some themes. तो ये जो प्ले है इसमें रेफरेंसेस टू द रामायण में से रेफरेंस किए गए हैं. सीता के कैरेक्टर की कहानी है. इट्स अ फेमिनिस्ट प्ले. इसमें बहुत सारी फेमिनिज्म की थीम्स है. इसकी जो सेंट्रल थीम है दैट इज फेमिनिज्म. एंड द author here has reinvented mythology. No, see, जो हमारी mythology है उसमें women characters को कभी hero नहीं बनाया गया. इसमें women characters को कभी central voice नहीं दी गई. उसमें women characters को एक बहुत central, बहुत ही टिपिकल वे में पोर्ट्रे किया गया है. द ओबीडियंट वाइफ, जहाँ पति जाता है, जहाँ अगर उसका पति जंगल में जा रहा है तो जंगल में, अज्ञातवास में जा रहा है तो अज्ञातवास में, स्टेक पे उसको रख रहा है तो being on stake. So you can compare the character of Sita with Draupadi here. Both women were women of mythology, and this.
अब वो मम्मी मम्मी आप सोच कर रहे हो क्या होगा. मैं सोच रही खाने के लिए क्या बनाऊँ सोच रही हूँ. मैं वो कर दो कच्चा आलू छोड़ के छोड़ मैं साथ में छोड़ के मुझे याद नहीं मुझे नहीं नमकीन वैसे वो आलू तो सालू हो जाओ. एक दो सीटी मिल जाएंगे वो तो छाट कर लगेंगे. मटर वाला भी खड़ा हो रहा आजकल तो. दरवाजे पड़ेगी ऐसे 200 किलो जो भी है. अरे खा के भरवा ले गया बेटा. बताओ खुली होगी दुकान खुली हुई है. खुली होगी तो बात करने की पापा फोन किया. नहीं खुली हुई है दुकान तो. ये मैं चलूँ बेटा. तो तुम खुद को ले जाएगा. इनको के साथ नहीं भेजना सिर्फ थोड़ा ले जाना मम्मी के साथ.